we are right now, we've got growing capabilities in this area, and it was essentially inevitable that the one state in the region that feels most threatened by this development, Israel, has entered, as I would put it, as the elephant in the room in these negotiations, which will be continuing soon. So right now, what we're seeing is a kind of a rush to engage Iran. Engaging Iran is on the lips of many, many people in all walks of life, but it came up during a meeting that Mark Fitzpatrick and his organization led in Brussels in February at the IISS on nonproliferation in Europe. One of the guests was Prince Turki, who is known to many of you, who raised this issue of what it meant to engage Iran. And Prince Turki said this very important point. He said, if we talk about engaging Iran, we have to make a distinction between engaging with the aim of crisis management, which is where we've been since 2003, essentially, and engagement with the goal of reaching a comprehensive solution to this crisis.
One particular aspect which is very closely related to the nuclear negotiations with Iran, and this is about the effectiveness of the oil sanctions. As most of you know, the sanctions were launched at the end of last year by U.S. President Obama and also followed up by the European Union. And in terms of European Union, they will be in effect as of 1st of July, basically. The general idea is that Iran depends heavily on oil revenues, oil export revenues. More than half of its budget revenues come from oil, and export revenues predominantly come from oil. So the hope is that if these oil revenues are cut substantially, this could possibly lead to a breakthrough in the negotiations, in the nuclear negotiations with Iran. Now, there are quite a few others that go further by saying that this is pretty much the only non-military means to deal with Iran that is left before something much worse, like war, happens. So the effectiveness of these oil sanctions is quite substantial.
For many Chinese, they still think Iran has not really decided what they want to do. Even they say, oh, we are a nuclear state, but how far they will go, and if they want to be a nuclear state, it's not really clearly demonstrated. Of course, I know Iranian they want to show the world that they don't want to cross the threshold as a nuclear weapon state, but I still think from the history of the nuclear program, the evolution of this nuclear program, I can say the leaders are not very, they don't have a consensus how far they will go. But some Chinese, they claim that they believe or maybe they assume Iran want to be getting everything ready, but are not going to cross the threshold, just like what India did before 1998. Or some people claim that Iran is doing something like Japan in recent decades.
Maybe there will be a confidence-building measure agreed to. There's been talk that the initial objective is that Iran would stop producing 20% enriched uranium in exchange for receipt of fuel enriched to that level for its Tehran research reactor, something that President Ahmadinejad had suggested last fall, so he's being taken at his word. But that's not enough, really, to meet the initial requirements of the United States. The United States and its allies have said, have to stop 20% enrichment, have to ship out of the country the stockpile of 20% enrichment, and have to stop at least suspend operations at the Fordo enrichment facility. And I don't see any possibility in this initial round that Iran is going to accept condition 3, and probably not condition 2 either. At most, I think they might suspend 20% enrichment, but to ship out of the country the stockpile or to suspend operations at Fordo, they will need something in return, something very significant in return. And I don't think there's anything that the United States, during an election year, can give them.
Iran's nuclear program is troublesome to Korea because that could directly affect South Korea's security as well. I think it is well known that Iran and North Korea, they have kept a strong military relationship for the past 20 years from virtually every area of military, from conventional military cooperation to missile cooperation to nuclear technology cooperations as well. And in the wake of Israeli bombing of a secret the reactor that was built by North Koreans in Syria in September 2007, there is another suspicion emerged that there might be a triangular relationship between Syria, Iran, and North Korea regarding nuclear weapon development programs.